The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts or guests alone, and not those of WGXC 90.7 FM, its staff, management, or parent organization, Free 103.9.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We're not going to express any views and opinions.
No, just the truth. Just the
truth. Nothing but the truth. It's Friday. Paul Smart's in the house. How you doing, Paul?
Okay, it's the final day of school, and it's the first day of summer. And, I got to write an editorial this week to students out there, one of those graduation things. And I said, do you remember that there's a statement that was made in the 1960s about never trusting anybody over the age of 35? And even though we're both over the age of 35, I said, pay attention to that, because now more than then, because the whole way our economy is set up, and this is an opinion, but the way our economy is set up, it's out there to get you. You have to read the small print. You have to learn to trust people.
There you go.
It's really difficult, and it's set up in such a way that the one element that you can trust, which is, we've set up our government in a way through civic means where it's not as nepotistic and weighted as it once was. Sure, there's still problems, but nothing compared to what you're dealing with in the business world, as it were, the world of economics.
Absolutely.
Key with that idea is also never become bitter, and that's where the hard part is just don't let it get at you, and continue to, smell the roses and, enjoy both the sunny days and the beauty of rain, even when it's a little harder than one's expecting.
Yeah, you know what? I can be a testament to that. Bitterness gets you absolutely nowhere.
Right. Well, it's been a very busy week, and next week won't be quite as busy because we're coming into the July 4th week and a kind of holiday week. In fact, today's the last day. It's a half day. Graduations are going on tonight, some places tomorrow. Day. Yep. And then Monday and Tuesday is for anybody with kids. It's limbo time. Camps tend to start like Wednesday. The earliest camps start next Wednesday or Thursday. Monday and Tuesday, there's nothing. You gotta, Milo's going to be sitting next to me working on a computer.
Driving you nuts.
Driving me nuts. And somehow, I got, 15, 20 stories to churn out. Nevertheless, there's a lot of stuff. Summer solstice, a lot of parties going on tonight. Tomorrow's a giant WGXC Galaxy. And aren't you going to be there, Mr. Phil?
Yes. PhilipGrant, MC, will be there to introduce Mark Anthony Thompson of the Chocolate Genius Incorporated with the WGXC hands-on band, Rick Moody and DJ Lena Moss. Now back to you, Paul.
Okay. The place is looking fabulous. And
it does. It looks terrific.
It's Matt Bua, who was last weekend was leading a crew up at the Catskill Community Center building a new indoor playground that looks pretty fantastic. Was building this crazy entryway into the galaxy, and we're going to come back to Matt with a bombshell piece of news later today, which
I'm mad.
I know. I brought this up right just a few minutes ago, and Phil was louder than the train going by.
I am hot.
But we'll come back to that later. The big thing, we've also got hits down in Saugerties. If you've never been to the Horse Shows in the Suns event, it's big. It's really fun. It's hey, the boss, Bruce Springsteen, is there a lot because his daughter is a horse rider. You get thousands of people there. Everybody's wearing jodhpurs, which, I kind of like that. And everybody's horse jumping, and it's kind of a fun thing with a beautiful view of the Catskills. Art Oh My is, I believe this is the weekend. It's either this weekend or next weekend when it gets up and running over their fields over there, which they're always open. It's even if they haven't had their opening party, it's a great time to get over there in West Ghent. There's also Catskills holding Catskill Open Gardens Day, first annual this coming Saturday. And then Palinville has its Hidden Gallery Walk, which should be a lot of fun. They've got a sculpture show up by the creek there, and everybody in the village and all their friends from around the village are just putting together a really fun event on a local basis. Last weekend, Father's Day was a big thing. There was an end of the Little League season bash in Catskill that pulled out hundreds of kids and their parents. It was Pride weekend here in Hudson, which was bigger and better than ever.
Yep. Gets bigger every year.
Yep. And then there was a lot of sadness too, over especially in Greene County, was rocked by the fact that there are 3 really bad car accidents, or vehicle accidents, one involving an ATV and 2 motorcycle accidents, and then at the end of the weekend, a pedestrian was walking on Cotterskill Road in Catskill, which is a beautiful country lane, and was hit by a vehicle and died. Somebody from Athens. And
folks, I really don't want to sound whiny, but buckle your doggone seatbelts. And if you're walking on the road around here, you got to walk facing traffic. You got to be careful.
Yep, and then for those that are driving,
and for those who are driving, you got to be careful.
Don't be looking at your cell phone. Don't be daydreaming, especially on the country lanes. Go slow, because a lot of people still use them. We all complain about how, look, the city people come up and they treat every road as if it was a driveway. They're stopping in the middle of it, looking at the flowers. Well, that's the reality of where we live.
And it's also income. And in the mornings when I come in here, well, of course now it's summer, but in the winter it's dark. And there are people, believe it or not, who walk to work. They walk over there to Hudson to the stores and various places. So you just got to be careful. It always breaks my heart when I hear about things that are kind of avoidable.
Yeah, and these were two women in their 60s from the Athens area walking along. Obviously, a healthy walk, and just.
I see walkers every morning.
Slow down.
They're out there.
Careful.
They're doing their thing.
The big thing, it was like a major rush up in Albany this past week, and it all kind of comes to fruition today. But there's this glitch in the laws where you have to prepare your bills and let them gestate for 3 days. So by Tuesday evening, everybody in both the Senate and the Assembly were in session until very late, hammering out all these things they've spent not just the past year, but the past year and a half talking about. And they came up with deals with a lot of different things. That whole idea about the tax-free zones at community colleges, which I believe I referred to as sort of one of those ideas you come up with while you're driving
along
the thruway. It got shifted a little bit where people realize you can't just give no taxes, no state taxes to everybody who's employed. So there were a bunch of restrictions put on it, and it's got a few steps to go before it moves into reality. The big thing that was added too was a no-compete zone, that you can't be getting businesses coming in that are going to compete with local businesses. And it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Where I'm really intrigued is how it's going to work out in terms of satellite campuses and how they set up allow satellite campuses, because otherwise you're stuck in this reality that was set in place, in the early 1960s, early 1970s. And a place like Greene County needs to get on the ball and figure out, how are you going to tie into this? How are you going to finally get an educational institution over on that side of the river that meanwhile, the community college is looking at putting in dorms, et cetera, but having an adjunct, Catskill may be too close. You might want to go out towards the campus in Cairo, or up towards Coxsackie, or you have to really think about this on a county level and look at how you match in with other counties around. You get out into Delaware County and Schoharie County. Delaware County has a college up in Delhi. There's one up in Cobleskill. But Ulster County, its community college is pretty far down. It's down in Stone Ridge area, so maybe something in the Saugerties area. You got to really start looking across borders to deal with that. The big thing up in Albany was they finally passed legislation for casino, or for casino gambling, and it's going to go on the ballot in November, and it's kind of up in the air whether it's going to go through or not. My suspicion is that the recent recession battered everybody, that the hinge point will be New York City and how it goes, and pretty much how the Catholic Church decides to go on this. But it's been cloaked in so many mantles of economic deliverance that I suspect it'll go through. At the last minute, what they did up in Albany last week was they expanded the idea of 3 casinos to 4 casinos, and that means with the deals with Native American tribes, it means that there won't be any in western New York, central New York, or in the northern part of New York, where there are already Indian casinos, as they call them, and there's a no competition deal or exclusivity for them. So that leaves 3 areas: the Capital District, the Southern Tier, which is around Albany and going out towards Ithaca, etc., and then the Catskills. The Catskills are going to get 2. That means, where I am running a paper, amongst other things, down in Ellenville, they had a very smart campaign in recent weeks where they just put up signs that said 2, period, saying that if there's 1, they're going to lose out. It's going to go to Monticello Speedway, which also the people who own Monticello Speedway and the Concord and Grossingers also own the Aqueduct Raceway down in the city. So it's a big amount of money. It's Malaysian. It's huge. Now that there's a second one allowed, it means it'll likely go at the Nevele in Ulster County, which will probably, instead of people coming up the thruway and going down, will open up what is now the Route 17 Quickway as a route out into central and western New York, and will change the traffic patterns over time. I think that's what the thinking is, because where they're looking at putting a casino in the southern tier is at Tioga Downs outside of Binghamton, which the third one they're talking about seems to be aimed for Saratoga, for the raceway. Although, who knows? Maybe the people on the Friar Tuck in Catskill or something will come forth again. Although it seems that years ago there was a big push to put one in where near the thruway exit in Catskill. But time went on, and they put in a Home Depot at that place. And I don't think they're going to take out a Home Depot and put in a casino. So a lot of details going to be worked out over the coming year, but it is a big shift in this state. Kind of pulling back, there's been a lot of little stuff going on recently. In Ankrum, they're in the midst of, here in Columbia County, nice rural place. They're in the process of putting together a historical register and a plan, kind of looking at reconfiguring their future. Kinderhook, meanwhile, had Big Truck Day last weekend. Hundreds of people came out to look at big trucks, and it was all co-sponsored by the town of Stuyvesant and the Kinderhook Memorial Library. Also, hundreds came out last weekend for the 16th annual Father's Day Cruise and Antique Car Show up in Tannersville. It was a big thing. But, we had stuff that's up on the WGXC newsroom. We saw that Caro Durham finally passed a budget
Yes.
There's a big thing coming up this weekend when, or tomorrow, when the Hudson Area Library is going to do an open house at the former Armory building here, to show what its plans are. It's moving. It's just a block, but it's a big move, and it represents a big change. There's been a lot of dissension, over the developers of that and other buildings throughout Hudson. But, all I can say at this point is go Emily. Emily Bennison, who's the library director there, has also been involved with GXC from the very start. A very sweet lady. The big news that everybody's talking around here, and it's something that it's kind of hard to wrap one's head around fully, is this whole idea of these two men who have been accused of trying to build the portable X-ray weapon. And it turns out that Sam Pratt's doing a great job with it on his blog, trying to track down the one man, Fate, who was from Stockport and was involved with the Kinderhook Elks Club. The other man looks like he was Irish, but then trying to become a member of the Ku Klux Klan, and they had this idea. It was right out of you could sort of say like Dick Tracy out of cartoons and stuff, where it was going to be this portable X-ray machine, and they were trying to. The way the FBI got alerted was that they were contacting local synagogues and Jewish groups to find out who they should target. People who are enemies of Israel. They were going to go after mosques and the like, and as many Muslims as possible. Everybody's referring to it as a cartoon-like idea. I think it's more like an early '60s CIA. Sort of like it's.
They were trying to build a X-ray gun to sell, and apparently they didn't want to buy it.
I mean, it was in a portable thing. I mean, it also says it sounds like the sort of. At first, I read it just very glancingly. It's a portable machine, all this electronics, etc., airwaves. I thought, it's like a transmission arts project of some sort. But what made this different, what made it serious and brought in the FBI and has given it legs, is the fact that it was masking a lot of hate. This undercurrent of xenophobia and racism that exists in this country, and that we really do have to be vigilant about. And that's where it could be the most cockamamie idea in the world, like I'm going to pull the moon down and crush you with it. But if it's comes from a point of racist hate, we have to deal with it in this country, because we are a nation. Even while we talk about immigration down in Washington, we are a nation of many peoples, and we start to let that fabric go,
we'll be in big trouble.
Yeah, we'll be back 150 years to the Civil War again. And that was another opinion. Just another. Boy, we're slipping.
I told
this
you,
morning.
told you I had to play that before.
Yep, it's just one of those days. A lot of stuff around. I brought up Sam Pratt. There's another thing just on his blog. He's got a interesting piece charting all the fires that have been going on in the last year in that corridor that you drive down. Well, it's not the 66 corridor, but the 9H corridor through Ghent, where TCI was, and there have been some other fires, etc. Kind of along that standpoint, there was a big public hearing last week for NYSEG, the other big power company in the area besides Central Hudson or Fortis, as we should call it, is planning to put in a 11.1 mile, 115 kilovolt transmission line.
That did not get a good reception by the folks in Ghent.
No. Everybody's a little nervous about these things right now. I mean, maybe we've reached the point where we have to start thinking in terms of larger infrastructure projects and burying these things instead of having them up above, especially as the weather shifts.
Oh, and the folks in Ghent have been being hammered. First you got TCI.
Yeah.
Now they want to electrocute them.
Yeah.
It's not burning them up, they're trying to electrocute them.
Tuesday, the same day that meeting is going on, to sell its certified home health agency. And this is happening all over the area where they're privatizing a lot of the, the home health care and, mental health services and the like. And it's, from those I know who are in the field, it's not necessarily a good thing. A lot of these entities, I was at a big meeting last week for the Health Alliance, which is this company that is dealing with the merger of Benedictine and Kingston hospitals down in Kingston. And it was all talk. I had never heard so many buzzwords in one half-hour segment that all added up to we're going to fire a lot of people, and we don't think that 70% occupancy is enough for our hospital. We want it to be 100% occupancy, which means waiting time for, and it's... I realized afterwards I was sitting with an intern who was 20 and was just lapping it all up, saying, this guy's brilliant. I said, look, this is all just, he's applying the terms of efficiency to healthcare and other things that are about quality.
Which you can't.
Yeah.
Which you can't. It's as simple as that. You can't. There's some things you can't apply those principles to.
Right. And a few other things out there. Some of them have shown up in the newsroom. There was the temporary courthouse at the old Claverack School had to be evacuated on Wednesday morning. There was a bomb scare. Interesting thing in Greene County Jail, where a female inmate has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit for alleged pervasive sexual misconduct, and look for that to be a serious one.
Wow.
Especially given the fact that the county over there has been pushing off its need for a new jail for years now. Every other county around here has dealt with it except for Greene. I suspect this will, amongst other ramifications, will push the county into a large infrastructure project for dealing with a jail finally. We're starting to get State Assemblyman Steve McLaughlin came forth considering a run against Cuomo for governor. I'm hearing that in other areas there's a county executive down in Orange County, Ed Diana, who's kind of mentioned it a few times. It's basically open game. I mean, I think my 7-year-old could probably run as well. Okay, I'm slipping again this morning. The chicken law got written about here in Hudson, where
the chicken law.
Yeah, new law passed. You can't keep up to 5 hens on your. Just watch how many hens you're keeping on your property.
We're still waiting for the mayor to sign that, right? The chicken law is not it hasn't been in effect. I had my chicken sound effects because I played it during that story.
Very good. Very good.
My chicken sound effects.
The villages of Valatia has adopted a bond resolution, and they're dealing with building a whole new wastewater treatment plant and just kind of upgrading their infrastructure upgrades, which is what you do kind of post-recession. It means, the other thing that I noticed up on the newsroom today is that the state unemployment level has dropped below 9% finally. Not consistently through our area, but things are looking better. I'm going to get back this coming month and talk to my friends over at the labor workforce over at the college to see how they're doing. There's a thing at the Conic Hills High School where a 15-year-old was arrested and charged with fifth-degree arson after a fire in the boys' restroom. So I remember when those used to just, it was a different sort of thing.
It's too dangerous.
Too dangerous these days. And finally, this little bombshell that I mentioned earlier. Which
I'm
is,
mad.
We all have gotten to know the cat, that 2-story cat on West Bridge Street in Catskill. And This went viral at the end of last week. It turns out there was a meeting, it was a week ago, Wednesday, by the Catskill Village Board, in which they decided that they were going to ask, or they did ask, Matt Bua, who built the cat, and he's a council member with WGXC and is building all the sets for the Galaxy this weekend. They have asked him to remove the cat by August 1st. They're saying basically what we have uncovered.
And why do they want the cat removed?
They feel that it's gotten kind of ratty looking, and that there's been some nefarious actions possibly taking place over there. What they want to do is to take it out and turn it into, I think you could fit 2 pieces of parking in there. That's it. You can't do any other development in there.
I'm angry.
And it's, I think what it comes down to, this is the same village board, mind you, that took out the community garden last summer and paved over it for the sake of, having more parking for the apartment buildings there, which had plenty of parking. They just didn't want the possible maintenance. And they've also, this is also, a town where, a decade ago they took down the only building that Thomas Cole ever designed as an architect, where presidents had spoken, etc. They've it's just, that cat has shown up on the covers of all the regional publications. It's become a symbol of the town.
I'm about to explode.
I know. Well, here's what,
because I can't do what I'd like to do.
Here's the thing: is that
it's community radio?
No, there's another Catskill Village Board meeting, and we'll come back next week with the exact, or I'll phone in because I won't be here, with the exact time of that meeting. It's the second Wednesday in, I guess, which would be the 10th in July.
Let's just say that it will be the topic of much discussion.
Yep. There's
Save the cat. I'm sorry.
No, there's a Save the Catskill Cat Facebook page that's been put up, and there's please go up there and sign it or petition, or I can't urge you to do that. I'm doing news.
I'm sitting here waving at Paul.
Yeah. There's also been discussions have started up with the Catskill Cub Scouts, who said they may come in there and take it as a project to start holding meetings there and do what they can to help clean up. There's been some talk with the Girl Scouts. There's been talk with local solar providers about putting in a solar light there and raising the funds. The expenses involved with the cat it's about $600 a year for insurance. We want to be able to put in they want to be able to put in a light, or the village wants some sort of lighting in there. If the community can come together in the next month and raise a couple $1,000s and pass the thing over, so it's not just in a kind of up in the air place. The property is owned privately by 2 local residents, and it's been sort of an informal deal up to now. But if some active or a group of active community organizations can come in there and take responsibility for the cat, and there's a ongoing fund for keeping it alive, then it can stay alive. And hopefully by the village's July meeting, this decision to have it taken out can be rescinded. Meanwhile, I'm hearing that Channel 6 News has gotten word of the story and is going to be running something. I know some of the publications I work with will probably run something, so just pay attention to it. And remember, Save the Catskill Cat at Facebook. Search it.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, and
apparently everybody's, they opened up 2.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information there, and people are signing on. So, and I bet you that's going to be a topic of discussion in action at the Galaxy event on Saturday.
Well, I don't know. We'll ask the MC.
Yeah, let's see what the MC does. Going back in history, there's I'm just as it's interesting to pull up some of the pop figures. I'm loving pulling up some of the weird bits of news out there. In 1877, this was the day that the Molly Maguires 10 Irish immigrants were convicted of murder and hanged at the Schuylkill County and Carbon County, Pennsylvania prisons, which started a lot of riots. That was a big rallying point for many years. It was on this date in 1898 that the United States captured Guam from Spain. Go Guam. Statehood for Guam. Oh, wait. I'm too many opinions. That's one too many opinions for the day. It was on this date in 1900, during the Boxer Rebellion, that China formally declared war on the United States, Britain, Germany, France, and Japan. That's a pretty big list of people to declare war on. That's sort of like coming up with an X-ray machine, I guess. It was on this date in 1948 that the Columbia Records introduced the first long-playing record album in a public demonstration at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York. I remember the day, and you probably do too, where you thought, wow, the LP is the greatest, longest-lasting thing ever. They still play pretty well.
That's exactly right. And I had my big 8-track tape deck in the glove compartment of my 69 Chevy.
Yeah.
I thought that was it, the top of the line.
Yeah, the great thing about the LP was that you could, it would start to get a little scratchy. You just tape a couple quarters to the arm of the thing, and it'd still play. It was on this date in 1970 that Penn Central declared bankruptcy, which was the largest ever bankruptcy up to that date. And that was a biggie. That's where kind of Amtrak started coming in, and the whole shift in rail service in this country started occurring. Looking back at birthdays, I just had to mention 1736. It's the birthday of General Enoch Poor. Man, I love that name. And sharing the same birthday is Increase Mather. So we just don't name them like we used to. In 1905, Jean-Paul Sartre, the French philosopher, was born. Two ladies, I guess you have to use the term dames for these two, were born on the same date in 1921. The actress is Judy Holliday. If you've ever seen her in Born Yesterday or never seen her, check it out. She's got she's one of the funniest actresses ever. And Jane Russell, who I guess one of the original Va Va Voom ladies out there.
That's correct.
Then in pop music, you got O.C. Smith. Wasn't that Little Green Apples?
Yep.
You've got Philippe Sard, who's a film composer. He's done a lot of stuff with Polanski and other people, kind of a major character that you don't hear much about, but a major composer. Benazir Bhutto would have been 60 today. She was the first female prime minister of Pakistan who died in a horrific assassination in 2007.
Hideous, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Juliette Lewis, that scary little girl, is now 40 as of today. She also has a band, Juliet and the Licks. Kathy Mattea, the country singer, songwriter, and guitarist, was born on this date in 1959. And then kind of the biggest thing in pop music out there, I would say, it's the birthday of Ray Davies, English singer, songwriter, whose band, The Kinks, is one of the major players out there, and who, for a period there from about 1965 to about 1972, there's nobody that could top him in terms of songwriting. And he has a song, if you could play it at some point, called Waterloo Sunset. Is just one of the sweetest things ever recorded out there. That's the roundup for today.
That's it. Thank you very much, Paul Smart. We're gonna get some music in here. And I'm going to sit and seethe about the catastrophe. You are listening to WGXC 90.7 FM, streaming live on WGXC.org. To all you kids out there, happy last day of school.
And yeah, and then you have